complicate things as it pertains to the haircut, I've only supplied myself with the general tools that I need to get the haircut done, right? Which is going to be your clippers, your all-purpose comb, that's the one that has the inches on it. I have a clipper comb, and I have one clipper guard, and I also have my shears. So those are the basic tools you're going to need to navigate through this haircut. Alright? So, as State Board requires, they want you to cut at least a ½ an inch of hair off or throughout the entire haircut. But they want the end result to be a tapered cut. So what that means is, it's shorter through the nape, and it gets longer as you go up the head. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Alright? Mm-hmm. Alright. So like I said, this way that I'm going to show you to do it is pretty much the easiest way I found, or I feel, that you can achieve this haircut. And you know, you should be able to navigate through it relatively easy. So, alright, so for starters, since I know I'm going to use clipper over comb eventually, I start with my clipper comb, and I start with my comb guard. Alright? The reason I start with the guard is because most people haven't been cutting for years and years and years, so they don't know what a 4 looks like in length as it, you know, relates to the hair. So I use my foreguard to literally give me a reference point, all right? Alright. So at this point, I'm pretty much done with my foreguard because I've set on both sides to be symmetrical. I've set myself a reference point. So now, majority of my haircut is going to be done with clipper over comb. So this process here is what we would call debulking. That's literally all I'm doing right now. Ideally, you do not want to take a mannequin in with the hair being this long, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a lot of hair on there.
Yeah, this mannequin is literally straight out of the box. Alright, so once you get most of the bulk removed, it shouldn't take that long because your mannequin won't be that long when you go in. So now I use here, where I use this foreguard, I take my comb, no, stand on this side. I take my comb, wherever the hair starts to leave the comb, that's pretty much my guide, right? So everything else, my comb is tilted slightly at like a 45, so you're going to take everything else off. Alright? And you always want to keep combing to see what you did. And a good rule of thumb, the further you move up the head, the more you either pull the comb away from the head or you angle it outwards. Alright? So they don't want you to have a block line at the nape. So you would go in with either a closed clipper or open clipper, and you would go ahead and take care of the nape area, right? Also doing this part, you're knocking out the freehand portion of the requirements, because you literally have no guard, no clipper, and no comb, right?
And what are you doing right there?
You're freehanding right here. So you're basically taking that line out at the bottom.
Okay.
So now literally all you're doing is trying to match this low point to this point. Alright, what I usually do to help myself see it and give me a guide, I put my tip of the comb at the shortest point, and you see how it's at a 45?
You have it up against the head? Or
The
nape?
bottom part of the comb is against the head, so I can kind of see where I have a reference.
Okay.
So now I've literally set a guide that I can follow to get the taper. So now all I have to do is just follow that up. If it helps, just like you would do a climb, if you can't see it, you can always move the mannequin. Alright? This stand is a little hard to navigate, so.
You're putting your head all in the way.
Oh my god. Alright, just like you would if you were doing like a regular fade with clipper guards and all that other stuff, you don't want to stay in one area for too long because your eyes get a little distorted. So you want to take your eyes off of it a little bit, switch to something else. So now, I'm going to switch to my all-purpose comb, and we're going to go ahead and knock out the top, and we're going to try to blend it in with the sides, right? So the way I usually do it, when I approach the top, once I wet it, I try to comb it in the direction that I want it to be once the cut is finished. So for this one, we're going to do kind of sort of a comb over, but it's going to all flow to the back. Alright? So for this one, I'm going to leave it relatively long on the top. And I'm literally going to take off like an inch. Alright? Alright, the simplest way for me to do it is to set my stationary guide down the middle. Alright, so when you're going across the top, you're basically doing a 90. And I'm probably going to take off more than an inch. Probably like 2.5. Alright. this point, I've already set my stationary guide, so now I can go through and cut. So my process is, I go through the center. Alright, so my guide is literally in the middle. If you're having trouble finding your guide and you can't see it, take thinner subsections. Once you do the center, doesn't matter which side you go to next, you can start on the left or the right, whichever is more comfortable for you. Alright, so once you feel like you got the top, you want to go through and cross check it. I know for me, I'm right-handed, so every time I get to this left side, it's always a little longer than the right.
So you're cross-checking now?
Yeah, cross-check to make sure the top is even. So now, you pretty much tie the top end with the side. So if you're on the right, you don't have to comb everything over to the right, because ultimately you're going to want it to come backwards. But it wouldn't hurt anything if you did that. It's over-directed. But now I just want to tie this in with this part. So you literally take small sections or vertical parts, and you hold it at that 45. Whatever hangs over, you cut it off. And you just do that when you navigate around the head. Alright, when you get to the left side, you want to still hold it at a 45, and you're going to do palm to palm. This part can also be done with the clippers, but I got the shears in my hand, so I'm really using it. Alright, so that part of the nape that I couldn't really get because the comb was a little too big, I'm going to blend it with using shear over comb.
Excuse me, let me get to the part.
So this part right here, I couldn't grip it with the clipper comb because the teeth were too long. Alright?
Wait, before you start. I think you should turn it sideways so that they can see what you're doing whilst I take over the nail. You know, let them do it over there and let me get over here.
Y'all can see that?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera.
Yeah, you are getting in the way.
Alright, so it's really like close at the bottom, so I might just have to go back to the clipper over comb, but I'm gonna use the smaller comb. Alright. Still the same concept though.
So whatever you couldn't get with the shears, now you're doing with the clipper.
Alright. Alright, so that's pretty much how you would navigate through the haircut using all four of those techniques. And then of course, you would do the neck shave at the end. I would use this as a straight razor. I didn't get a straight razor. So you tilt the head, of course, you put the shave gel and all that good stuff. You come here, do this part, and over here, just make sure you reverse, and then you get that part. Alright, and then that's the haircut portion of it. And then of course you step back to let them know that you're finished. They're gonna come check it out, all that good stuff. And then after that, they'll tell you you can clean up your haircut. So you hit all the points. You took at least a half an inch off the top. You have no block.